God bless you, and welcome to another episode of God at Work. And this week, the subtitle is Unexpected Friendships. And I want to look at a subject because so often we meet people in the most unexpected ways and circumstances and never imagine that anything will ever come from it, that we'll ever see them again. And I want to show you how quite often you can meet somebody, and the next thing you know, you build a friendship through it. And it's amazing what God does in some of these circumstances. So we're going to start today with a song called I Will Look to Jesus. It talks about I will look to Jesus and follow where he leads. And that's exactly what Mariana did, who is our guest today in this time. So Jerry, I will look to Jesus.
Whichever way the world goes, whichever way the wind blows, I will look to Jesus and follow where he leads. Though storms may rage around me and wars compass surround me, I will look to Jesus and follow where he leads. He sees beyond the present to a future resplendent, a day with no more sorrow, when all tears are wiped away. Though torments have assailed me, his love has never failed me. So I will follow Jesus till my dying day. Whichever way the world goes, whichever way the wind blows, I will look to Jesus and follow where he leads. Though storms may rage around me, wars compass surround me, I will look to Jesus and follow where he leads. Now I can trust no other, no sister and no brother, my father or my mother, unless they follow him, much less some politician, a preacher or musician, no actor or physician, unless they follow him. Whichever way the world goes, whichever way the wind blows, I will look to Jesus and follow where he leads. Those storms may rage around me and wars compass surround me, I will look to Jesus and follow where he leads. Yes, I will look to Jesus and follow where he leads.
This trip Jerry and I were in Salamanca in Mexico, and his wife Marianne happened to be able to be with us on that trip, which was really nice. And we were at a church called Manantial Christian Center with pastors Victor and Sol Alvarez. They had invited us to come up and do these meetings there. And this is a picture in the church, Jerry. No, the one in the church. There we go. There we go. In Manantial Christian Center. And during that meeting, they were advertising a women's breakfast, which was to be the Saturday morning. Now, I didn't know there was going to be a women's breakfast. I'm not one that usually does women's meetings. I've got nothing against it. It's just never really my thing. But anyhow, they had a little video clip they put together, which I thought they did a very good job of. And so, Jerry, if we could put that little video clip up, promoting the next morning's breakfast, which is where we met Mariana. I thought they did a very good job on that little video clip that they put together. And that was when I found out actually that I was doing a women's breakfast meeting the next morning. And so here we end up over at Mariana's family's home in Salamanca. And there's part of the group for the morning breakfast. And Jerry did some beautiful worship music there at the beginning. And everybody had breakfast together. And then at the end of the breakfast, we were going to start the meeting with the real full out praise and worship and everything. And Mariana got up to go back in the house. She wasn't planning on staying for the meeting. And okay, I would really, I'd got to talk to her a little bit and got to know her, and I thought I'd love to have her stay for the meeting. And then I had an idea. Any of you that heard the testimony from a couple of weeks ago on how I learned Spanish, I did say in there that I really avoid using a translator after the big mistake that was made there. And so rarely did I ever use a translator, only on certain occasions. And I said to Mariana, you're not staying? And you can put Mariana up there now too, Jerry. I said, Mariana, you're not staying? And she said, no, I'm going to go in the house with my brother. And her mom and her sister were staying. And I thought, well, I was hoping you'd stay because this message that I'm going to do, I've never done in Spanish before. And I thought maybe, if I got stuck on a word, you could be here to help me translate it. You didn't know I did that to you, did you, Mariana?
I think you cheated a little bit. But yes, I didn't go to church back then. And, well, still didn't, but okay. And the breakfast was for the women of the church. And my brother is a guy, and I wasn't attending to church. So I was going to go back inside when you asked me. And I don't really know how to say no at that kind of things. And you insisted, and okay, I'll stay.
And so that's how we actually met. I tricked her into staying at the meeting, and she stayed. And then after that, Jerry started his music. Where's that nice picture of you with your guitar, Jerry? And everybody gets drawn into that music. Mariana, even when she was there, looking at the words and singing along. And so she even got into it. And then got into the message, and there was the odd little word because I'd never done that particular message in Spanish. And there was the odd little, Mariana, how do you say this? Or Mariana, how would you say this? Because sometimes things are different in each country. And I know there's words that I could not use in Mexico that I could use in somewhere else, or vice versa, So I didn't want to make a big mistake. So she helped me with a few words there. And then at the end of that, I had something else, some notes I wanted to hand out at the leaders meeting that they were going to have in one of the services. And I asked Mariana, I said, could you I only had it, I had the great big list all printed out, and I only had it in English. I said, could you translate this for me? So she translated it for me. And, she didn't come out to the church services that trip, just the one to bring out the list, and then actually she ended up giving it to her sister to give to me because she wasn't going to wait around. And so then, after one of the services, we ended up going out to their place, out to the hacienda for a meeting. But first of all, we had all the people were paying attention and listening and to the music, etc. Then we got to chat with Mariana and her family and got invited out to a dinner out at their place at the hacienda, which is such a gorgeous place. This is the entrance to it. You don't think it's a gorgeous place when you just look at the old outside, but I think they've even done that up since. And, so you go in, but when you go inside, it's like you're walking in to an oasis. Look at the next picture. There you go. Just so gorgeous inside. And it's absolutely, you feel like you're in paradise. It's just beautiful and so peaceful. And we stayed out there a couple of different times. We'd end up staying out there for different meetings. And it was just so peaceful. You could sit there and just take in, the beauty of God in that place. It was just gorgeous. And then we got to know their family fairly well. The next picture is Mariana and her mom and her sister and her brother. There they are in the hacienda. It's such a beautiful place. And the next picture is actually the rooms that they let us have. So Jerry and I were down in those rooms, one of those rooms at the end, a couple of them, beautiful rooms. And the place it's all been painted since we were there, but absolutely a gorgeous place to be. And so Mariana, did you at first feel comfortable around us, even though we knew you weren't, going to church and things like that? You were okay?
Yes, you know what? I didn't attend to church for different reasons, but everyone in that church always have been so nice. They usually greet you like you're old friends, and everyone was amazing always. So when they introduced me to you and to Jerry, you were the same, like old friends, and I really appreciate that.
One thing I've learned over the years is just because somebody doesn't attend your church or the way you think they should, you cannot judge them and you cannot separate yourselves from them because of it. How is somebody going to even know your heart if you don't allow them to get to know you because you push them away because they're not doing what you want them to do? And I really, felt to get to know somebody, you've got to spend time with them.
Yes.
I didn't get to know Jerry and his wife, Marianne, without spending time with them. I mean, I actually knew Marianne, 45, 50 years ago in France. I met Marianne long before Jerry. And we became friends in France so that when I was going down to Mexico, where they were missionaries at the time, got to spend time with them there and became friends. And that's how we started working. We didn't start working just because Jerry could sing and I could speak. We started working together because we became friends. And it's amazing what God does when you allow friendships to build and you allow yourself to put aside anything that could hinder that and just realize, they're a person. We've all got areas in our lives where we might not be doing exactly what the other person expects us to do. But then I got a phone call from Mariana after I'd come back to Canada. I'll get back to the next thing in a few minutes. But after I got back to Canada, I got a phone call from Mariana because when we left Salamanca, she said, I'm going to come and visit you sometime in Canada. Now, I've had people all over the world say that to me, but nobody does. And then I get this phone call from Mariana. Pastor Rauna, I'm booking my flight to come on such and such a date. And it just happened to be the Canadian Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Because Canadian and American Thanksgivings are different dates. Canada's the beginning of October. America's the end of November. And so she says, I'm coming up to Vancouver. I'm booking my ticket and I'm going to come. And I'm bringing my dog with me. Now, I'm highly allergic to dogs. So I could not even offer her a place to stay. But she was determined she was coming with that dog. So it was wonderful because she took it upon herself to come and build more of the friendship. Mariana, how did that come about?
Well, I've always wanted to visit Canada, and you came every year since that breakfast. You came every year to Mexico, but you broke your arm, and that year you were not going to be able to come to Mexico. And I had a few savings because my grandparents gave us some money because they sell the house. They sell the breakfast, or the breakfast was. They sell it, and they gave us a little bit of money to each grandkid. And I saved it, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go to Canada and go and see Rauna and go and visit and try to see how can I stay in some way. So I'm still figuring that out. How can I return and stay for good?
That
And
could happen one day down the road.
hopefully.
So the next picture, actually, Jerry, is when Mariana arrived in Canada. She arrived in Canada, went straight from the airport, dropped off her luggage at the place that she'd arranged, an Airbnb that would accept dogs, and she made her way out to where the church was meeting. And we had a Thanksgiving dinner planned that day. So she came out and met us out there. And that was her first time at the church in Vancouver, which my son, Carl, was pastoring at that time. So what was your impression when you entered?
Well, it was different because I thought it was going to be like that kind of church you see in pictures, and no, it was just a normal place, and everyone was again greeting you like you were all friends, and everyone was so happy and very welcoming. And it was very funny when you called me. I was boarding my flight when you called me. Hey, are you coming? Of course, I'm boarding. Oh, so tonight is Thanksgiving. Could you make it? Well, I guess. And I arrived, and I was tired, and I thought I didn't know anyone, and after a few minutes, I already had friends.
That worked out really well because you got to meet a lot of the people, and one of the ladies actually started driving you because you lived not too far from where she lived, and she started picking you up and bringing you and driving you back and forth because where you were staying was actually quite a distance from where the church was. So that worked out really, really well. But that's what happens, when you build relationships, when you build friendships, and you don't allow differences, you don't allow even language barriers, you know, to stop you. You just let it go and you let God do what he wants to do. And he loves to build and build up and make stronger relationships between people. He didn't create us to be alone. He didn't create us to just do life alone. He created us to be family. He created us to build relationships. And Mariana became like family for us. Here's her little dog, actually. She used to take her dog for a walk by this lake. And this is in Canada. Her dog, I told you he came to Canada. This is by Trout Lake in Canada. And
Yeah.
that's little Robin. And I could not understand being not being a dog person, not being a pet person. I couldn't understand how somebody had to pay that extra expense to bring a dog. I couldn't get it. But Marianne, do you want to tell us a little bit? Your dog had trouble, separation anxiety, being away from you.
Yes. Every time we were apart, he stops eating. He became a lot aggressive to other people. So I was going to be far away for a while, and I didn't want him to be alone. And I've always wanted to travel with him. And well, it wasn't that expensive actually. The airline was a good one. It broke. It's broke now, but uh, um, it wasn't that expensive to bring the dog. And we stayed in a place like a block from the park. So it was amazing. We walk every single day on that park from the 2 months I was there.
So he was very much a happy camper. He loved
Yeah.
being there. But so Mariana, you stayed from Thanksgiving, beginning of October, and you stayed through November. And I ended up in the hospital. Mariana's here visiting, and what happens to her host? I end up in the hospital. I actually had a fall, badly broke my leg, and that was the start of on the 6th of December. Jerry arrived that same day. The day that I ended up in the hospital was the day that Jerry arrived because we had a lot of Christmas events coming up, and we had a big dinner for the homeless downtown Vancouver. And you actually went down there to help with that, didn't you?
Yeah.
How did you find that?
Well, you asked me after you broke your leg, you asked me, we're going to have a dinner for the homeless people on December 14th. Can you help me? And I agreed. Of course, I can help. The funny part, and I didn't tell you, is that I have my landlord was having a piano concert, and he invited me way before you told me that. So I had to leave for help in the beginning of the dinner, and then leave and go to a concert, and then came back and help pick up. It was a long day, amazing day, but a long one.
It was quite an experience, I bet, that place down in downtown Vancouver for you. Definitely not like your little oasis there in your hacienda. Very different. But then she was there right through Christmas. Now, I was stuck in the hospital for almost over 5 months. I was stuck in the hospital. And, but Mariana was there through Christmas, and I was in the hospital for Christmas. So my husband and my son and family, they were trying to figure out a way that we could have Christmas dinner together, even though I was stuck in the hospital. So they got everything all prepared, and together with Mariana, they all came to the hospital, and the hospital allowed them to set up our Christmas dinner down in the cafeteria that was closed at the time. So the hospital cafeteria was closed for Christmas, and we set up our Christmas dinner down there. So there's a picture coming up of Mariana and my husband and my son in the background having our Christmas dinner, Christmas Day, in the hospital. And the next picture, you can see it's Mariana, my husband, my grandson, and my son. And there we were in the hospital sharing Christmas dinner. But then Mariana, I know, was preparing to leave. So I hardly got to see her for the last part of her trip. But she came by bus all the way from downtown Vancouver, all the way out to the hospital in Langley, several times to see me in the hospital. She was one of my most frequent, other than my immediate family, my most frequent visitor coming out. And it's because she had become not just a friend, but she'd become like family. And when you allow God to build in relationships and you allow God to get in there, it's amazing what he will do. It's amazing how he can put you together like family, because he created us to be family. He created us to be in relationship. And then even since Mariana had to go back, she went back New Year's to be there for New Year's to be with her mom. I think she went to surprise her mom, actually, and get there for New Year's to surprise her mom. And getting back there. So then we've stayed in contact. And now, with the COVID and everything that happened, my son's church, they started meeting regularly online. They had their services every Sunday online in the afternoon, and all the way from Mexico. Mariana started joining in, and she's there almost every Sunday. And the way they do the service is really kind of interesting, because he's got quite a different group of people, and as he says, his church is those who, a lot of them are post-church, ones that were in church, and for one reason or another, one problem or one hurt or whatever, they've left the church. And there's several of those in Carl's congregation. And then there's people that just barely knew anybody, like Mariana, all the way from Mexico, was checking in for the service. There's people in California, people in Hawaii. There was a fellow in Ontario. And they all joined in online. But the neat thing was that at the last part of the service, everybody participates in a conversation. And people can put across their point of view. They can ask a question about what was spoken on, or if they're not quite sure if they're understanding, and they can, try and get clarification. And Mariana is so open and sharing in that time in the service. It's wonderful watching and listening. So how do you find now meeting online with the church up here in Canada, Mariana?
Well, as I told you, I've never attended to church, and this kind of community that Carl is creating, it opens to ask a lot of questions, to clarify your doubts, to listen everybody else's comments, and try to learn from a lot of different people. So I really like that. I really like to listen to everyone's experiences and try to learn and try to be open to different opinions. I do really like that.
Well, I'm really glad that you do come along and join with us every week. It's wonderful to get to see you and be a part of your life as well. And so I'm really thankful that God did build a friendship and a relationship. Unexpected, as you said, unexpected. I didn't expect to have you sitting there at that breakfast. You weren't at the service the night before, so I didn't get to meet you. It was at that breakfast. Then you wanted to take off and disappear. And so now seeing you there so regularly, and I can't twist your arm to stay for that. You're too far away for me to say, no, Marion, so it's been kind of fun watching it. But, the next song that I have asked Jerry to do that we're going to close this part of the meeting with is called I Pray for You. And I want you to know that regularly I'm praying for you because I know that there's much ahead for you. I know you're in a learning stage. There's a lot of things that are going on in growth in your life, but I want you to know I pray for you. So, Jerry, I pray for you.
I pray for you. On my knees I start my day with you. For I know this is a way that I can help you rise above. And so I take the time to stop my hands, to still my heart, and really plead for you. For I see the desperate need in you, and I long to be a strength to you and help you carry on. So now I'll take the time to stop my hands, to still my heart, and really pray for you. As you fight to move ahead in your plight upon your bed, for the sorrow in your heart and all the troubles that surround, I come before the King right now, petition Him to bring right now the strength you need, the faith you lack, and for His love to abound. And yes, I pray for you. I give a choice part of my day to you, and I have the faith He'll make a way for you when all seems lost. So now I take the time to stop my hands, to still my heart, and really cry for you. Pour out my heart, empty my eyes for you, fully aware that He who died for you now lives to strengthen you. And so I take the time to stop my hands, to still my heart, and really cry for you. As you fight to overcome, or as you struggle with someone, as you battle with some task that's far too great for you to win, I ask Him on my knees right now to bring the things you need right now, for light to see His loving hand in all you're going through. And yes, dear one, I pray for you. On my knees I start my day with you, for I know this is a way that I can help you rise above. And so I take the time to stop my hands, to still my heart, and really plead for you. So at His feet I intercede for you, for I know He knows what's best for you and wants what's right for you. And if I take the time to stop my hands, to still my heart, He'll surely fight for you, because He loves you, and I love you.
I pray for you. Jerry, bring Mariana back into the picture. Please. There you are. So, Mariana, no, no matter how far away you are, I pray for you regularly. And seeing you every Sunday out, it's almost every Sunday out at the services is wonderful. I wouldn't see you that often if I was in Mexico. It would only be when I made it up to Salamanca or out to La Hacienda. Is your mic muted, Mariana?
Yes, sorry.
That's okay, no problem. So, anyways,
Yes.
it's really good that you joined us today. And I want to encourage others, allow friendships in unexpected ways because you never know what would come out of them. I mean, I never knew that Mariana was going to end up here in Canada. I never knew that she would be regularly visiting me in the hospital. I never knew that. But God had perfect timing in it. It was hard, especially when COVID hit. Being in the hospital during COVID was horrible because, I wasn't allowed any visitors at that time. Nobody could come into the hospital. And so the guests that I could have before the COVID lockdown, I count every single one of them and every visit a blessing. And as I said, people might not be doing exactly what you think they should be. They might not be where you think they should be in their walk with God or whatever. It doesn't matter. What does matter is that you build a relationship with them. And it's that relationship, that love that they feel, that will draw them closer to God. It
It
is that
has.
relationship. And, whether it happens in a matter of minutes or whether it happens over days, weeks, months, years is irrelevant. The fact is, when people feel that you really do care about them, when they feel that you really do love them, their hearts start to change. What do you think, Mariana?
I do think that I've grown a lot since I've been attending and since I've been connecting. I've been I have been learning a lot of things and building a better relationship with my spiritual self and with God. And because I have been very away from religion and from the spiritual for so long. And now I do feel closer. I do feel I'm learning a lot of things. And I'm grateful for all the friendships that I've made. I'm grateful because I can see you almost every Sunday. Things that you're right, you wouldn't do it if you were here.
Wouldn't be able to get all the way up to La Hacienda every week. Every week it'd be too hard. I would
You
love
can
to,
stay there.
but it's so beautiful, though. And if any of you that are watching need a place to get away, to escape, to have a peaceful place, I can recommend one. A trip to Mexico, getting out to La Hacienda, away from the busy crowds of Mexico City, some of the other tourist places, but out at the La Hacienda, it is so gorgeous. You you could spend eternity there. It's so beautiful. I don't mean actual eternity, but you could spend a long time because it is so beautiful. But Mariana, it really has been nice getting to know you, and I hope that it carries on when you come back to visit, and who knows what God's going to do. But thank you for being with us today. So let's just pray as we close. Father, I thank you so much for building as a entitled an unexpected friendship, Father. Lord, who knows what you will do when we are open to what you have. And Lord, I thank you for Mariana. I thank you for her heart. And Lord, I thank you for what you're doing in her heart and will continue to do. And Lord, just as that song that Jerry sang says, I pray for you. Lord, I thank you that you give me the privilege, the opportunity to pray for Mariana, to pray for her family, and to continue to pray, Lord. And Father, I ask that you will restore relationships in her life that have broken down, that you will build relationships for her, and that, Lord, she will continue to grow and explore who she is in you. So, Father, I ask that you will have your perfect will in your precious name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Well, God bless you, and thank you for joining us today. Really glad you could take the time and come. As I know you said you planned your week around this time so you could be here. So thank you.
Thank you
I
for
don't know how
inviting
many
me.
people would. Oh, anytime. You can talk half the time, and then I don't have to talk as much. But anyways, if you've been blessed by this program and you'd like to help out and sow a gift, please feel free to.
Okay,
Jerry
that's
will
enough.
put the information up on the screen so you have ways that you can sow into the ministry. And we'd love to have you contact us in the description on the program. You will be able to find ways to contact us, a WhatsApp app, and email address, and everything else, so you can get in touch with us. So please do feel free. God bless you. We love you. And we'll see you next week.